Welcome back to CubeCon 2023. We are in Draft 3 of Day 2, Round 1 for the Creative Cube. We are going to be looking at Dom Harvey, who we watched draft moments ago. Dom is currently undefeated in matches, not on the day, which he is.
He is.
The ones that count, but also yesterday in our exhibition match against England.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, yes, he was playing for England against Wisconsin in the grudge match.
Yeah, but couldn't quite get there. He got there, just fine.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
scoreboard for Wisconsin, unfortunately.
I fought Wisconsin last year.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
It wasn't near as close as Dom's team.
No, technically you were supposed to stop it at 5 victories.
Well, we kept going because we're all or nothing type of bunch. Us Watson folk. We went 0-9 last year,
which is astounding. I've actually never seen a 3v3 draft go 0-9.
I mean, that's the kind of entertainment we provide.
And I appreciate that.
Can nobody defeat Wisconsin at Cube? Calling everyone out there, come to CubeCon next year.
Look,
try to bring them down. They're too good.
I might be forming my own team next year.
Really?
Yeah. Team North Carolina.
North Kakalaki?
Yeah, I could technically claim Virginia too, but I feel like I got to go back to my roots.
Well, if we had the best and brightest in North Carolina, I'd imagine you'd be leading that up.
We got a handful.
And if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'd bet on Wisconsin. Wait.
Wow.
North Carolina.
Unbelievable.
You're with me right now, so I will say North Carolina.
Well, you already said how you really feel, and we're going to find out how we feel when we see Dom take on Brandon, who's playing Bant Blink.
Bant Blink. Blink
right.
Bant.
Blink Bant. It is you blink and then you blunk after.
Yeah, he's playing Wet Selesnya?
No.
No?
Absolutely not.
Mossy Azorius?
Wait,
no?
The Bant is not good enough? It's so simple. It's 4 letters.
Yeah, but it's so close to Blink. Blink Bant.
That's exactly why it's great.
Yeah, and then Dom, meanwhile, is also playing, what? White, green, maybe some blue?
White, green, maybe some blue. I would say he probably is going to have in his deck over the course of the 2 or 3 games all 5 different card colors because he's drafted them all and he has access to them all. So if he needs to pop in to grab a black card or a red card, that's something he's easily capable of doing with his mana base.
Carrying feeder could be coming out. Could be coming in.
I would say that one's unlikely.
Sure. We have Boromir. Could come in.
Boromir
he's blue.
Come in. Yeah.
He's white and blue.
Yeah, helps that Yoshi.
Let's just stop where you're ahead.
The dog.
The dog with partner.
The goodest boy that I know.
Yoshimaru.
I don't know why I can't get that.
Well, there's a lot of cards out there.
There certainly are
more
a lot of
every
cards
day.
out there.
We keep
there literally are more every day.
Yeah.
I went onto Twitter and I'm like, there's Fallout cards now.
Well, that was your first mistake.
Going on Twitter? Yeah, well.
But
it's a sickness, folks.
Yeah. So, some of the Fallout cards look very sweet for Cube, I will say.
I saw one. I'm gonna see if I can. Also a mistake, but I'm gonna try to find. It was a white, black, and red legend that seemed like it really likes tokens and drawing cards and sacrificing things.
Sure. Well, once I see it's from an official WotC source, I would love to talk about it with you.
No problem. No problem. And I'm sure that it is as I scroll through Twitter, but I'm not gonna find it. But you know what? I liked that card, and I was like, this looks like a very, very sweet Cube card. You know, as it turns out, a lot of people are tweeting today about CubeCon.
CubeCon.
Because there's 400 people here that are playing Cube right now in the same place. That is amazing.
There are 400 people, which means you need 50 cubes for these 8-player drafts.
That's what we have.
We have
50 cubes.
I think there's 50 cubes being fired right now, and that's so many cubes. And of all the cubes to look at, we're going to right now take a look at the creative cube as Dom Harvey versus Brennan Kupletti begins now.
And it looks like Dom has kept his hand pretty solidly.
Yeah, well,
feels good about it.
Yep.
Starting off with a Verdant Catacombs, as we know, was going to always make his deck, no matter what.
Sure, and Brennan looks like he's got a Temple Garden and a Windswept Heath. He's got them both, or 2 Temple Gardens. Windswept Heath and Temple Garden. So green and white. No blue for that sensor, but maybe that
I bet that Windswept Heath's going to find something. We got a sparse headquarters in Brandon's deck, so.
So here it looks like both players will probably be opening onto Fetchland into Triome.
Classic.
Get used to that being Cube, Justin, because that's how it's going to be.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Are you a pro or anti-Triome person?
Pro. But you know what? Dom is anti-Triome for this first turn. Coming to play tapped. Does that mean he
boarded them out or didn't play them.
Might not have Triomes in his deck.
Well, he went Verdant Catacombs into Overgrown Tomb, which is pretty boring, honestly, Dom. Could you kick it up a notch and have some cool colors? And he's casting Glimmer Lens.
He's kicking it up a notch a little bit.
Yep, so this is a 2/2. I mean, what is it for?
For Mirrodin.
There it is. Take that for extra resistance. We have Glimmer Lens, so it's a 2/2. And when you attack with it and another creature, you'll draw a card. All you have to do is attack, draw a card.
And it looks like we have a cat there, but I assure you it's a rebel. It is a
Red Rebel.
a red rebel in cat's clothing.
That's correct. Not only is Rebel red, but with the Rebel yell, it says draw, draw, draw.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was good. I got to give it to you.
So here we do have Spar's headquarters. You were right, Justin. I know you love hearing that. So now Brandon will have Censor live. So
that's why I'm in the booth.
That's why you're here. So it'll be up to Brandon if he wants to maybe deploy a threat or keep that Censor up. And then it's up to Dom Harvey if he can play around the Censor, which, you know, it's the Force Spike of 2017, I want to say, when it came out.
That's pretty solid. I'll take it.
Thanks.
So, yeah, I think that we are very likely is potentially, there we go, get that rebel in there,
the game state has been maintained.
Because we didn't see a Triumph, and we know Dom has multiple Triumphs, it does lead me to believe that they are not present. And we have a Plains into a Ranger class. So we're going to see tokens butting heads against each other as this comes with a 2/2 Wolf.
Awoo.
Awoo on level 1.
Yep. So the Ranger, known D&D characters such as Minsk and Drizzt Do'Urden are all Rangers. So they come with wolves, and it looks like Dom just they traded. Dom attacked for 2. The wolf on Rebel Crime, and Dom answered with a Chatterfang.
Chatterfang has Forest Walk, which means for the rest of this game, unless something happens to that Spar's headquarters is likely going to be unblockable. Unblockable. That's not something you see very often.
That ain't bad. And so Brandon's 2G answer to the 3/3 is a 2/2. It can be blocked, but can also add mana and draw a card. So you kind of have already an aggressive stint versus a control stint, because that Ranger class, a lot of mana can be pumped into it, and then eventually you're casting creatures at the top. You're doing crazy things. So we have already established who's the beatdown, and it's Dom Harvey.
That's right, and likely will be, as this Chatterfang is going to be unblockable likely for the rest of the game until it leaves the battlefield. Dom going to be really looking for some token makers, as Chatterfang will provide you with squirrels if you provide Chatterfang with any other token.
Any other token, creature tokens, non-creature tokens, anything. But Dom did pass turn 4 with nothing up, and Brandon's will be casting Solemn Simulacrum, first of his 2 Simulacrums, to try to find another land.
And Brandon's going to go ahead and shortcut to say, I'm going to play this tapped land, Celestial Colonnade, and pass. But we are going to see the Wandering Emperor going to make a token at the end of Brandon's turn, and is going to bring along a squirrel friend with it.
Squirrel buddy, if you do speak squirrel. Wow, how dare you say that? On air? Wow.
They might bleep it.
Okay.
I hope we don't get demonetized.
I'm sure it'll be just fine. So Dom Harvey looked like he didn't have anything, but both players are casting a 2-mana spell, a 3-mana spell, a 4-mana spell, and that's exactly what you want to be doing in Cube or in Magic the Gathering. I heard an adage of what's a good rule to follow to win the games of Magic? You use as much mana as you can every turn. And these players are doing exactly that.
Yeah, and the second rule is to simply play the Wandering Emperor in any game of Magic.
That's true. Well,
and that's what Tom's done.
I mean, Brandon Kubletti played the most played creature in Commander, kind of a cube-oriented format, in the form of Solemn Simulacrum.
Yeah.
Number 1, most played.
Yeah, I would argue it's the greatest creature for Commander of all time.
I would also argue with that and agree with you.
Great. That sounds perfect.
Yep. Love to argue.
So we're likely going to see this Wandering Emperor tick down to make another creature. And the first thing we're going to do is see this Shimmerlands suit up to draw Dom a card, come in the red zone for 3 unblockable damage, as well as a 2/2 Vigilant creature here, which Brandon's going to say, yeah, I'll take a card, as Solemn Simulacrum dies, and we'll draw a card for Brandon's troubles. Well, he'll take 2 less, but going to be tough to fight down this army of squirrels. We have black up to sacrifice some squirrels, maybe take down one of Brandon's creatures, as that's one of Chatterfang's abilities. And this is already put Brandon on the back foot. Chatterfang just alone, but certainly in combination with the Wandering Emperor.
Yep. So a lot of Brandon's plays add mana and draw cards, but Dom Harvey's cards attack. And not only do they attack, they can also sometimes draw a card in the form of that Glimmer Lens, but he's being creative here and making tokens with other cards that say, when you make a token, make a token. So right now, Dom is showing what this cube is all about in terms of these little synergies that has got him in the position he's in. He's ahead on board. He's about even on cards. He's ahead on life total. He's kind of in the driver's seat, and Brandon really needs to find some cool synergies and some little ways to get ahead because he's letting down some squirrels, some samurais, and some rebels.
Well, Brandon really needs to get his blink going. That's actually been completely absent from his game plan in this game so far. We know he has a lot of that in his deck, but has not been able to cast a card that exiles something and return it to the battlefield. And we're not going to see it now, as we're going to see a generous int that's going to bring along 2 food tokens with it.
Yeah, so generous int is a large boy, large int. The int home is here, and the generous int has arrived. It doesn't actually impact the board a whole much, besides being a large creature. However, this Chatterfang has become friendly with some bird lures of Streets of New Capenna, and knows how to get right in there to attack Brandon's life points directly.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big problem, especially in combination with this Glimmer Lens that's now. Oh, that is.
Yep. So the problem
That's
with
a rough one.
the problem with generous int is it's 6 mana 5/7.
Yeah.
And that's really bad against 1 mana removal spells in the form of Path to Exile.
Right. So Brandon decided to cast Generous Int rather than cycle it to get a land, and Dom said, I would rather have you had cycled it, so let me help you.
Yep. Very generous guy, Dom Harvey.
Yeah,
Nice,
really.
nice guy.
Yeah, Generous Dom is what it should be renamed to.
Well, it's still 3 characters.
And Dom playing. Okay, if we know the Mishra's Factory is here, we know 100% sure that the Mutavault is here. So we're going to see a significant amount of attacking for Dom. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Going to put Brandon to 3. Dom in the driver's seat. Going to absolutely need to get rid of that Chatterfang and probably also the Mishra's Factory, because if a sweeper comes along, that simply won't be enough, as the factory's now a 3/3.
Yep. Also, Dom has the Wandering Emperor as another non-creature threat. So Brandon needs to really dig deep into his blink bag of tricks and try to find something to help him survive the oncoming squirrel and samurai army.
But it's got to be really good, because it can't have something that has 2 or less toughness, because Chatterfang will simply get rid of those squirrels to kill it.
Yeah, it looks like Brandon drew Glass Casket for the turn that made it all the way around to him. I mean, that's a fine spell. It can kill the Chatterfang, it can kill a Samurai, but it can't quite kill everything. And again, Brandon's going to be cycling that Sensor, really looking for something good. And he found Restoration Angel.
That's a good one.
This is probably one of the best creatures in Brandon's deck. It pressures Planeswalkers. It can come out, ambush an attacker. It can blink that Llanowar Visionary to draw another card. But we're not quite sure if it's going to be quite enough for Brandon to survive this Squirrel Onslaught.
Yeah, but we're finally going to see this Chatterfang likely get put in a casket here made of glass, because that's likely going to be the only way that Brandon has to interact with it. And it's going to have to come at sorcery speed.
That's true. So Chatterfang just cannot be stopped, not while the headquarters are on the battlefield. So it looks like Brandon will be attacking the Wandering Emperor for 2. Looks like the Samurai will jump in the way to defend against the Elf. And here we see probably the Glass Casket, because Brandon has to do something. That Chatterfang cometh.
Right, and retapping his mana, that blue was tapped from earlier in the turn, so we lost the green that the Wild Growth made, but we're still going to tap 2 lands to get rid of that. And this is actually a critical mistake for Brandon, because, okay, now he has a land drop. I take it back. He almost went down to under 4 lands to be able to play this this Restoration Angel. Now, the only problem is, if Dom puts a +1/+1 counter on a squirrel and attacks, Restoration Angel simply won't save Brandon, because at least 3 damage is going to come across the red zone.
Yeah, so right now Dom is aware of that. He's trying to think what all outs Brandon has and why he shouldn't just activate that Mishra's Factory, activate that Wandering Emperor, and do exactly what you just said. But it looks like that might be what he's doing. There can only be so many things your opponents can do for 4 mana to stop 2 various lethal creatures. Yep, here comes the Glimmer Lens on the squirrel. It looks like Dom has the mana.
See. We're
Here
going
comes
upstairs.
Here comes the counter. Yep,
We are
put on
going
this-
upstairs.
Oh,
and-
upstairs. Knock, knock. Who's home? It's a squirrel.
Yeah. And Restoration Angel going to answer the door, but is still going to be unprepared for what's on the other side.
Yep. So right now, if I was Brandon, I just wouldn't even cast this
No,
Restoration
you just
Angel.
scoop it up. You gotta. That's a very critical card to keep a secret going into game 2.
Yes. Yeah, so Brandon could also crack the food token, but still not going to be enough, and Brandon's going to pack it in while Dom Harvey takes game 1 in the creative cube.
Right. Yeah. The food token just going to get you to 6 life, which is exactly how much Dom was attacking for. So not exactly going to make it here, but very close to Brandon being able to untap and turn the corner, but Dom was able to deal so much damage with that Chatterfang.
Yep, so this match was really great, and both players basically spent all their mana every turn, which means they're kind of even, right? Brandon's strategy is blink, so you play a creature with an enter the battlefield ability, play another creature, it's got stats, you blink it, get some value there. He wasn't quite able to get that strategy off. Meanwhile, Dom has Chatterfang, which says when you make tokens, make more tokens. Dom had Glimmerlens. This is when you attack with another creature, draw some cards. So Dom was able to employ these creative synergies and leverage his deck just enough to defeat Brandon before he get his blink synergies online.
These small interlocking combinations. We had all the token synergy going across multiple things. We had, gosh, just Wandering Emperor. It's not really a synergy
Wandering
card.
Emperor with 2 planes and 2 other lands, that's a synergy.
That is synergy. That's one of my favorite combinations. One of my favorite combo decks I used to call Jund in standard combo deck. The combo was Savage Lands, Verdant Catacombs, Putrid Leech.
Ooh,
That's a good 3-card combo. It wins you a lot of games.
Yeah. My combo in that format was Island, Spreading Seas.
Yeah, well, I didn't like that one.
Well, then my opponent would bring in a Nicol Bolas Planeswalker from the board in a deck with no blue creating mana sources.
Oh, you provided it for him.
Yeah, that got me pretty good one time in the PTQ.
So if I was looking to sell my Magic cards, you know what I would do? I would go to cardconduit.com, which is the easiest way to sell your extra Magic cards. You can simply ship them your unsorted cards, and Card Conduit will sort and grade them and find you the best buy list price in their major retail network. You're paid the total sum, and Card Conduit only takes a small fee for doing all of the work, or you're getting the best price for your cards. Go to cardconduit.com to get started. And you know what? You can just turn those cards into other Magic cards for your cube. That's what I do.
Cubes have a lot of cards in them.
They sure do, and you need them.
Yeah, a lot of cubes are a 360 minimum. It's kind of the normal, but all the times you need 540.
Yeah,
that's a lot of cards.
It is.
And I'm sure if you made a cube, you'd have, I don't know, 100 lands or so in a 360 cube.
Like 80, really.
I mean, Dom Harvey would probably ride there with you based on the number of lands he picked in that draft.
Absolutely. But I think, we have seen that Dom did actually forego a lot of those lands, as I predicted. I thought that he was going to say, you know what, I really have a lot of these white cards, and I think that is my best way to leverage what I have drafted. And Dom, we only saw white and green cards in that game.
Yeah, I mean, the Mishra's Factory is a land that did swing for lethal.
It did, and he proved me wrong, and he has that and Mutavault. So we definitely are going to see a lot of punching going on from the mana base, which is, I called him a madman, but he's up a game, and I'm sitting in the booth.
I mean, he has never been down a game this whole weekend.
He has not. He's not starting now. He's like, well, I gotta make sure on coverage this is not when this train ends, and we're gonna go back to the game and see if Dom can close this one out against Brandon Cupoletti.
So Brandon's on the play. Looks like he's got a Llanowar Visionary along with a Smuggler's Copter, and that's a pretty good combo. Copter. Oh, he's also got Arkham's Astrolabe.
I love that one.
Yep. So this will fix his mana up just right up. Cantrip, be great.
Maybe get him to a Yorion that can draw him a card later with the Astrolabe.
Yep.
Hello.
So Brandon's got his whole curve filled out. Meanwhile, Dom answers with the Noble Hierarch. So it doesn't add any color like Astrolabe, but it adds an additional green, white, or blue mana.
Yeah, I think I'd take that.
Blight and Drought, not really a thing happening in this match or in Dom's Harvey's deck, just like good green, blue, and white cards. And here comes the Smuggler's Copter.
I wouldn't be surprised if Noble Hierarch was paired with its good buddy Ignoble Hierarch, despite Dom not being able to take much advantage of the green and red mana it provides. But I bet the green on its own is good. And we see this 15th pick.
Yes.
Briarbridge Tracker. I want to point that out. It is a 4/3 as long as Dom controls a token. He does because it investigates upon entering the battlefield, but I bet Dom's going to find some other tokens to make in his deck to provide that 2 additional power.
True. Dom also played a Mishra's Factory in turn 2, and you don't often see these creature lands being played this early unless maybe you don't have a lot of lands in your hand, because you kind of want those lands that produce color mana out early, and then you play the factory later on and then get in there. So maybe Dom is representing a hand without a lot of lands in it, or maybe he just wants to attack for 2 on turn 3 with this Mishra's Factory.
That could be true. And we are going to see the rarely seen Night of Autumn mode of destroy an artifact and also give a creature permanently -2/-0, which is really great.
Yeah, now that's a little unfortunate because the Briarbridge Tracker, which was answered by the Knight of Autumn, the Briarbridge Tracker is still a 2/3 no matter what, and Vigilance. So the 2/1 Knight of Autumn can't quite tangle with the Human Scout in combat.
Well, nothing can tangle with the Smuggler's Copter, which came in through the air for 3 over to Dom, drawing and discarding for Brandon. He got rid of that generous int.
It's very generous of this end to take one for the team. You know,
It really was. And there
buddy,
it is.
you were right.
Partner in crime, Ignoble Hierarch coming down, paired with a Huntsman Redemption.
The Huntsman's Redemption.
Love it. It comes with a 3/3 Beastie Boy. And we're going to see Dom serve in for 2 with that Briarbridge Tracker, which has Vigilance.
Not only for 2, but there are 2 exalted creatures on the
board.
board.
Oh, sorry, for 4. He just made a token.
Yeah, so
made a token.
There's a lot. There's a lot
6. 6. I'm here.
Yeah, there's a lot. So when you have exalted 1, you know, that's okay. But the more exalted you have, the more dangerous it gets. Hopefully, Dom Harvey isn't packing Finest Hour in this deck, or the game would be over so quickly.
It would. But, yeah, we saw that. You got rid of my 1 token. I really wanted that token. I needed that for some extra power. So I'm going to make 1. And now it's a 3/3 threat, too. Dom, already so early in this game, putting a significant amount of pressure onto Brandon. Now, we know Brandon is going to keep attacking with that Smuggler's Copter. You absolutely need to do that if that's on the board. Unblockable 3 damage most of the time. Going to draw and let you discard. Hopefully find some of that blink theme you have going on. But Brandon has some blue cards in his hand, like this Malevolent Hermit, but no blue mana to speak of outside of the Astrolabe.
Yep, along with a Lotus Cryptozoologist, so there's a breeding pool. So Brandon does have some things he can do. However, Dom Harvey has gotten ahead so far on the board because of that Ignoble and Noble Hierarch, giving Dom enough mana to play these more creatures. Brandon has 1 advantage, and it's attacking in the air for 3. So Brandon's really looking for a card like Restoration Angel or other flying white creatures to let him blink that Knight of Autumn, maybe gain some more life, or even destroy that Huntsman's Redemption.
Yeah, that might be a good one. But Brandon here is going to take 2 from this breeding pool. Not nothing.
Not nothing.
By the way, when you've already been attacked 1 time for 6.
Well, taking 10% of your life total with the Shockland can add up when your opponent's attacking green and white, playing green and white creatures that attack for lots of big damage.
Yeah, we're going to play the Solemn Simulacrum to go grab another basic land from our deck and provide a blocker that will get us a card later on. Dom, on the other hand, going to go to Chapter 2 for the Huntman's Redemption, sacrifice Ignoble Hierarch, and search for any creature in his deck.
Any creature, and we're in the draw step right now, and Dom did float a mana from that Ignoble Hierarch. Probably not a red. We'll go with green.
I think we're in the main phase.
Main phase? Great, then he has the mana, and he can even play a creature with that mana that Dom got from the Ignoble Hierarch.
Yeah. So we're cutting Brandon's deck after the search, and Dom's still considering what he really wants. And this is how we're really going to be able to see what Dom values highly. I would not be surprised to see Chatterfang because it is going to essentially be an unblockable 3/3 that's going to provide a bunch of squirrels over the course of the game, as we know that Dom is leaning hard into the token theme as he constructed his deck.
Yeah, you know, Brandon's trying to attack in the air with this copter, one of the greatest vehicles ever made in that first batch of vehicles. Meanwhile, Dom's like, you know what's better than flying? Unblockable.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can't block your flyer, but you can't block this squirrel at all. But instead,
Boromir?
Boromir. Dom is looking at Boromir. So Brandon's also going to be looking at the Boromir card.
And so are we.
And so are we. Right you are.
So Boromir
Gondor's Hope.
Boromir Gondor's Hope. It's a 3/4 for 2 white and blue whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks.
Time trigger.
Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You can reveal a human or artifact from among them, put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. But, you know what we got? We have a Felidar Retreat, and then a fetch land to double trigger it. Going to make at least 1 cat, and then are we going to see a second cat, or are we going to see a bunch counters go across Dom's board?
Yeah, so Felidar Retreat, it looks pretty good, but, you know, when you really are dressed to the nines and you're dressed like to go to prom or something, you want to have that nice dress or that tux on. The tux or dress for Felidar Retreat is a fetch land.
Yes, it is.
So you want to play that Felidar Retreat and then play your land drop, fetch land, make 2 cat beasts, or put 2+1 counters on all your creatures.
And Dom's not done. Oh, he got an untapped land. He's still got 2 mana with this Noble Hierarch. He's like, I got 2 cats, but that doesn't mean I'm finishing this off.
No, there's more where that came from.
Nah. We're gonna see the remainder of what Dom is gonna do to press all of this stuff. Oh, are we okay? So we are activating. And then putting 2 counters, no cats.
No cats.
No cats. Not a single cat was heard this day.
Dom's a dog guy right now.
And it looks like, does Dom need to potentially have another mana? I'm not entirely sure, but you know what? We'll let them handle it down on the floor. I would be under the impression that he would need to tap 2 for that Mishra's Factory and 4 for the Felidar Retreat. But we will see. Either way, he's going to come into the red zone for 6 damage. Brandon again on the back foot after essentially giving a permanent +2/+2 to all of his creatures, including that Mishra's Factory on the bottom. So even if a sweeper were to happen, still very much in the danger zone for Brandon.
Yep, and so not only do these counters did so much damage to Brandon, but they have Vigilance. So it looks like Brandon's probably retreating into his deck and looking for some way to survive this onslaught that's been boosted by these Felidar Retreat. And the next turn, the Huntsman's Redemption will be even more damage on these creatures.
And we see an Asika's Chariot from Brandon try to gum up the ground a little bit. Also, Dom had the mana from Ignoble Hierarch, as we noted earlier. That was the one. That was the piece that was missing.
Yeah. We got a flitter over here. That Hierarch, it did its job. It taps for his mana and it's like, you know what? I'm going to look for a friend. And
Something that might struggle to do its job right now is Smuggler's Copter. Not a great blocker. Not a great blocker.
Well, you still get the trigger, even on block.
Right. Well, the trigger goes on the stack, but if you're dead at the same time, it doesn't resolve.
Well, a death trigger on the stack, you see. You wait, and you can be at -5, and then,
right.
maybe you draw a card the next time you play that opponent.
Yeah.
You float the draw.
Right. That's how that's
exactly how that works.
Okay, so Dom has 4 attackers.
The workshop, the factory, the workshop, the Mishra land.
The factory.
The factory has woken up. The workers are in.
Yeah.
And it looks like Brandon Dom will be seeing about where that Huntsman Redemption's triggers go.
Which is a +3/+3 and trample?
I believe it's +2/+2.
Okay. That might be enough no matter what. And we're going to target the Beast, I believe, with the Huntsman's Redemption trigger. And Dom is going to help us out with some dice, potentially, to find that. Oh, up to 2 creatures. So we are choosing, and Dom's going to show us, like just the most helpful Magic player of all time.
This is very generous.
He is going to show us the 2 creatures, and then we're going to get another +1/+1 counter on all of our lands. And Brandon is going to he's going to demise here.
Take him up.
Yeah, unfortunately, Brandon's got 2 vehicles. Not always great to block because you have to tap some creatures to do it. And no matter how Brandon soaks this block up, it looks like he has a maximum of 7 toughness on 5, and yeah, that's just not going to be enough. We'll let Brandon figure out exactly how the math works because they are 4 blockers, and that's exactly what Brandon's doing.
That's what they say. I'm glad I'm not Brandon because I honestly wouldn't want to do this math, and probably would just retreat.
Yeah.
Through the power of this Felidar Retreat. But Brandon's going to check it out, make sure all the options, cycle this Censor. Maybe there's a 1/0 mana spell in Brandon's deck that can help him get out of this.
He does draw Reflector Mage, which would have been very nice in the last turn. Really nice in the last turn. But we have, let's see, so 3, 6, 8 trample, 10 trample. We have like 20 trample damage coming, almost 20, 16 trample damage coming through.
It's it's something like that. Man, Dom still has the Wandering Emperor. All this gas still in the tank. But
yeah, we're going to see the handshake here.
Yep. So just the Felidar Retreat was just too much for Brandon to handle, and Dom's going to take that match down in 2 games, still maintaining his undefeated record here at CubeCon.
Yeah, he is Caleb. I don't know.
Watch out.
Yeah, shaking in his boots. He's out here somewhere. Caleb's putting it down. He's not going to go down without a fight, but Dom is coming for that trophy.
He's got his eyes on the prize.
Yeah, and the other person that might have their eyes on the prize is the people that we're going to go to in our backup match, which is going to be Mike Kirby, the owner and creator of the Cube, against Kevin Craig.
Yes, Kevin. So Kevin versus Mike. So we've already started. It looks like Mike is playing a black-white, perhaps Aristocrats deck. There is a Dread Wanderer in play, the 2-1 that can come back. Then we look over here at Kevin is playing a blue-green X, maybe Teamer, sort of big mana deck right here, right now. And this creature's rumbling in there to get Kirby down. But Kevin is only at 8. But it looks like Kirby is kind of running out of gas as he's only got 3 lands untapped, but still at least 1 card in his hand. So here, it looks like Song of the Dryads from Kevin came down and took out one of Kirby's threats.
Not sure what it's on, but I know what it is now. That's a forest.
It's forest. Makes not a lot of good for Kirby since that will be his 10th, 8th land. So here comes the tenacious underdog. Madison C is very tenacious. Comes out, attacks Kevin for 3 and 2.
And Kirby's going to lose 2 life on that blitz, but Kirby is up a game. against Kevin here and really applying the pressure with Tenacious Underdog and our 2-1 friend on the other side. Oh, but we have a Prismari command likely going to deal 2 damage to something. Kevin deciding exactly what that's going to be.
Yep.
And it's going to be the creature name. I'm sorry, I cannot remember.
The Wandering Dread Wander, of course.
Dreadwander?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
I know the Oracle text 2-1 from Amonkhet.
You got
can
it.
return it if you have 1 or less. If you're heck bent.
Oh, heck.
Oh, heck.
Oh, heck.
Now, Kirby's not. He's going to say, oh, heck, because he's got 2 cards in his hand. He's about to have 3 because of this Tenacious Underdog.
Oh, double heck. So looks like the Mossword Dread Knight that Kevin has in play thought about jumping in front of the Tenacious. Oh, yep, there it goes. So they're both will die. However, the Mosswood Dread Knight, much like the Tenacious Underdog, they both come back. Just like the power of black, tenacity, reanimation,
Ooh.
little creatures. Yeah.
I see a good one in Kevin's hand. You see it? See
Oh,
what
I
I'm
see
saying?
it.
That's
Yes.
a Mawlock.
So what doesn't grow dies, and what dies
Grows
is
the
food.
Mawlock?
Grows the Mawlock.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Man,
They've been saying that for years. Ask any Space Marine. They don't want to fight a Mawlock.
no, I wouldn't want to either.
But it looks like Dismember's taking out that final threat that Kevin had. So this is probably dead for now, we hope.
Ooh,
Unearth.
I love an Unearth, and it's going to bring back Vrawn, which is
Vrawn.
going to drain 2 every time one of Kirby's creatures dies for the first time that turn.
Yeah, as long as that creature isn't Vrawn himself.
That's right. Vrawn is too selfish to say, I will not train myself, but
Well,
you can do the job for me.
Vrawn is one of the 7 great things of the Black Spheres of New Phyrexia,
course.
as we all know.
All right.
So the Thanes tried to, rebel against Sheldred, but they didn't work out well for them. Things didn't work out well for Sheldred
Doesn't
either.
even- no,
But,
no.
that's okay. It's a Thane, so a great Thane. So here we are. Kevin has a Mawlock and a Stomping Ground. 2 great tastes that taste great together.
Which is really important because Kevin needs that red mana to cast that Mawlock.
That's true. So it looks like Kevin's almost ready to cast that Mawlock with Ravenous, which would draw a card. But instead, Kevin's now wondering, how big should this Mawlock be? Should I pay 2 life and go down to 6?
Right.
Tie it up, or should I make this slightly larger Mawlock? It looks like Kevin's like, you know what? My life total is pretty important against this aggressive black deck.
Kevin's playing at tap, so I'm not exactly sure what's on the Ketria Triome, but I would imagine. Oh, that's a Ketria Triome, so he's got red. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I didn't want to correct you, but it looks like this Mawlock, X equals 3, so 5/5. Fight this Vrawn.
Vrawn's gone.
And Vrawn's gone, baby.
He beat me to it.
That's dead. Vrawn's gone. And here, Mike's looking for something to do with this mana other than the 4 mana bring back the Tenacious Undertaker, which would actually be the end of Mike. So there's good news he's doing. So he cast a Ravenous Squirrel.
Yeah, so anytime that something is sacrificed, like Tenacious Underdog at the end of someone's turn, if it blitzed into play, you get a +1/+1 counter on Ravenous Squirrel. But you can also pay 1 black and a green to sacrifice an artifact or a creature to gain a life and draw a card, which is another nice combination with Tenacious Underdog already on the way to its graveyard.
Already. So Mike is going to be probably looking to sacrifice this Wanderer to this Squirrel because he's got to do something. This 5/5 Mawlock isn't going to stop. It's going to come through. And
no, but it doesn't have trample, though. It doesn't have trample. So we might see this happen on Kevin's turn because I believe the Dread Wanderer
it can block.
It can block, but it enters the battlefield tapped. Right.
Well, but it looks like Mike's like, you know what? I kind of want to wait and see if I can draw a sorcery or some sorcery speed threat or removal spell.
Right here, right now. He's going to go to 7 to do it, too.
Oh, yeah. The Squirrel gets him up. Get him up.
Yeah, gain a little bit of life.
Just 1. Extra life.
That's a little bit. You need it every now and then.
A little tap will do you.
And the Mawlock is a 5/5. So Kirby not in danger as Kevin is not heck bent, but actually hell bent. No cards in his hand, playing off the top of his deck. Kirby is going to play Mikaeus the Lunarch as a 4/4, which is going to make Kevin think twice about attacking, no doubt.
Yep. So this Mawlock, which is a 5/5, could come in here and probably trade with the Mikaeus. And we're not quite sure if Kevin will want that. It's kind of unsure. So we'll see if Kevin has a big draw step here this turn.
Forest, not quite big enough.
Forest.
Yeah.
Well,
you want to sit on that and think about it? I think about that forest for a second.
Well, sometimes you don't see the
Make
forest.
Kirby think about it.
Sometimes you don't see the forest for the trees.
Well, unfortunately, Kevin's seeing all forest and all trees, and that's really the problem here, as he wanted to see just about anything else.
So now it's up to now Kevin has a decision. Does he attack with the Moloch and have Kirby? But he's like, you know what? I'm gonna chill. And Kirby's very happy about that.
Yeah, that was a big missed draw step for Kevin, with a chance to turn this game around after the Moloch last turn. But we're likely going to see the Dread Wander come back tapped. I would imagine it's not going to hang around too long.
Now that squirrel's looking awfully hungry. He's licking his lips. Yep.
Yeah.
That squirrels are wants to do. Kirby is also playing a Bone Shard.
That was Kirby's draw. That was a much better one.
Yes.
It was so good, it's actually going to kill Kevin, as Tenacious Underdog is going to jump out of the graveyard, cause Kirby 2 life, but he says, you know what, 2 is unnecessary, as I'm going to take down this match and win round 1 with my own cube. He better. I mean, he's the master. He's got to prove it.
Well, you know, some may say he's not the Tenacious Underdog that he might be, since he knows the cube. But in this world of Hall of Famers and Pro Tour competitors and Dom Harveys, and
he might be the underdog.
He might be the underdog
here.
So
that's true.
We're excited to see later on if Mike Kirby can still be winning games of his own cube with his Tenacious Underdog, Ravenous Squirrel, Black White, Obzon Green kind of sacrifice aristocrats brew that he's got cooking up here.
I know. I really want to see more of his deck. Because we got to, we did get to see kind of the core loop of his deck of sacrifice something, bring it back out of the graveyard, something I'm quite fond of. So I'm really happy to see him doing that. Is he going to get a chance to take down Dom Harvey? And I would say Kirby, despite being the creator of the cube, could be the underdog against one of the best Magic players in the entire world.
Yes.
We're going to find out when we come back. Justin Parnell, Dave McDarby here at CubeCon 2023. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, or you'll miss it. We'll see you in just a minute.